If you hate reclining seats on airplanes, and you are not alone, that's a very relatable problem. A petition to ban those seats, have reclining seats, has reached 200,000 signatures. We'll get to more on onto the petition momentarily. I think I might be on board with this movement though, but Cenk, you are much taller than I am. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know about much taller, but it's amazing because Michael and I just had this discussion on the last Old School episode. Yeah. Totally randomly before we heard about this movement, before any of that. So
and we both fly a lot.
So yeah, and we both fly a lot. We diverge a little bit. So I'm a hell no on preventing reclining. I like reclining. I demand reclining. Michael's a little bit different. You're definitely a little bit different. So let's tell folks about the details, and then we'll come debate it.
Okay, so the petition is actually part of a promotional campaign by Lazy Boy. So here is an ad for the hashtag ban reclining movement. Okay, so any customer who signs the it was a good ad. It was fun. But any customer who signs a pledge is eligible to win a Lazy Boy recliner and $500 in airfare. So it's not quite a fair petition. But to sign the pledge, you do have to sign up for the Lazy Boy mailing list. Apparently, though, despite the petition garnering 200,000 signatures, the majority of Americans are not with Lazy Boy on this issue. In October of 2024, a Harris poll revealed that 41% of Americans would back a ban on reclining seats on domestic flights. So not quite enough buy-in for this to actually be a real thing. And, you know, I was just on a flight with a girl who had never flown before, and she was asking about the etiquette around reclining. This was like a couple of weeks ago. And I basically told her that if the person in front of you decides to recline, it's just something you have to deal with, and you hope that they're not, you know, being annoying about it and constantly adjusting their seat for the entire flight. Personally, I'm very small. I can just like curl up in the middle seat and I don't care. I'll go to sleep or read a book. So I don't care. I try, you know, to just live my life and get off the plane as soon as possible. But I am very small, and I know that, you know, things are different for people who are very tall or, you know, bigger than me.
Or wide.
What do you
Let's
guys
keep
think?
it real. Okay. So, or have broad shoulders. That's
right.
The issue.
That's the
broad shoulders. Yes.
Yes.
I have these big poopy sleeves today.
So I'll get back to my issues in a second. First of all, that was a genius ad.
Yeah,
absolutely genius.
Great
nice
ad.
job, nice petition, etc. I appreciate a well done ad. Speaking of ads, I mentioned Old School there. Terrific, fun podcast. And if you're a member of the Young Turks, you get to watch it live and get it anytime you want. So 20% off of membership at tyt.com right now. Go take advantage or hit that beautiful join button below. All right, now, what do I think of this? As I said in Old School, I'm a recliner. And I feel that if you can recline, like if that is given to you as an option, I don't believe you should, like, that it's legitimate to complain about it. Like, what do you want the person to do? He's allowed to recline. There's a recline button. And a lot of the flights I go on, I go from West Coast to East Coast and back. That's a 6-hour flight. What do you want the brother to do? Just sit there like a lump on a log and never recline? I just feel like once you step on a plane, you bought into people reclining. But some of the things that they showed in that ad, Michael has actually done.
Yeah, no, it's true. Sometimes I'll resist. First of all, the key to it is get upgraded. Do everything you can to get upgraded, because it doesn't matter who's in front of you. If they recline, you're fine. So fly a lot, get those loyalty bonuses of an upgrade. But in the case that you don't, yeah, I mean, you can rebel, but you still have the right to do it. And by rebelling, it means like pushing hard into the guy in front of you with your knees when they lean back. So to make it just as unpleasant for that guy as it is for you. And then also, when you get up, grab onto that person's seat so that they feel, you know, as you to help you stand up and walk to the bathroom or whatever it is, so that they feel the the kind of the pulling on their seat. So you're bothering them as much as they're bothering you. But the truth is,
these are all great tips, Michael. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Terrible.
I'm happy to help. Happy to help where I can. And they're also terrible. Cenk's also right. But the point is, you're getting into a contract where you're not going to be comfortable when you're getting on that plane. You know that. You're trying to pick a seat that's going to make you as comfortable as possible, and then you watch the people get on the plane, and you're hoping that guy or that woman doesn't sit next to you or in front of you. If the 6'8" person sits in front of you, you're doomed, right? But they can only go back so far, and you kind of have to put up with it because that's part of the deal, unfortunately, with flying in America.
If you're 6'8", you should pay for first class. Like, you don't get to sit coach if you're 6'8", just for the sake of the rest of the people on the plane.
Right, but that's unfair. That's penalizing the 6'8"
It's a very ableist
person.
take. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
no. But also the airline should upgrade the 6'8" person before anybody else. Because that's just unpleasant
for the sake of the rest of the flight. Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, and so look, when I step on a plane, I've accepted a lot of realities. There's only one thing I'm looking to avoid. So if somebody reclines into me, no problem. Someone yanks my chair as they're getting up because they were annoyed that I recline, no problem. Because I know it's a flight. What am I going to do? I told a story probably on another old school episode of the guy, Asian guy, sits across the aisle from me. First thing he does is take off his shoes. I'm like, oh, this is going in a bad direction. And then he takes off his socks, and then he starts waving his socks. I'm like, no, stop waving the socks, okay? But nevertheless.
But what does his Asianness have to do with it?
No, because I'm gonna get to that,
okay.
Right? Because it's a fair question to ask, Michael. Because once we stop, he puts the socks back on, puts the shoes back on, but we're all the way in the back of the plane, okay? And so when you're in the back of the plane, again, I bought into everything's gonna go wrong. So the minute that the plane stops and everybody gets up and he starts climbing over people. And I'm like, what? I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And like he hits people, he climbs over them, and then it takes me like 20 minutes to get out. And I get out, and the first guy I see sitting down in the seats there is that same guy.
Right.
I'm like, why did you bother running everybody over to just go and sit in the airport for 20 minutes, right? And the Asian thing comes into play in that everybody's got different cultures and customs, right?
Right.
And so if you grew up in China where it's so crowded, some of the cities are so crowded, like bumping into people is not a thing that anyone cares about, right? They think that that's normal, right? And I've talked to other friends who live in China, et cetera. And it's not a blanket statement, and not all Chinese people are like that. But if you're from the mainland in those incredibly crowded cities, sometimes that's a cultural norm for them. And we all got to live together. So I just want everybody to have a little bit more grace for other people's norms and cultures and customs or proclivities, et cetera. The only thing I care about.
Keep your socks on.
Yeah, oh, for God's sake. Please try to keep your socks on, okay? The only thing I care about is, I was just on Southwest, right? And the game that we all play, right? So like I was near the front this time.
Yeah.
And so as people are coming by, like the big guy looks at me and like we look at each other for a second like, no, it's not a good idea. Both of us can't sit next to one another, right? And then women have to make a calculation like, he's big, but is he big enough? Should I take the seat? Should I not take the seat, right?
It's pretty close to the front, but I got to sit next to that guy.
Yeah, and for me, like I'm not that tall, I'm just 5'9", that's pretty average. And I have a huge gut, but that doesn't really get in the way of anything. It actually literally is my shoulders. And my shoulders are like, wind up being like, rubbing shoulders, if you will, with the other person. And then, but on Southwest, the last flight I was on, this woman, she was in the middle. And she not only, and this, Michael was talking about this on Old School, where she took the middle arm bar.
Oh, the arm bar thing is a disaster.
Yeah, it's don't take Michael's arm bar. There'll be issues, okay? But she not only took the arm bar a little bit, she didn't just take all of it. She went past the arm bar, which I've never seen. she put her elbow past the armbar.
There's a line of demarcation there. You cannot cross that line. That's ridiculous.
No.
Isn't it?
Yeah, of course. That's war. That's what. Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do with this thing? This elbow's like halfway in my seat.
Yeah.
And
then you actually rest your hand on her other armrest, like you cross her and you rest your hand like that, so she understands what an
very
offense.
sweet. Yeah. You guys can be plane buddies for the duration of the flight.
I'm such a pushover. I never do anything. I just.
Just a quick question, having nothing to do with reclining. On Southwest, do you do the sit down fake sleep right away with your head onto the middle seat?
No, I don't. Okay. But now I learned a lesson.
Guilty. Yeah.
But the woman who took the window seat in my aisle, she immediately put 2 giant bags in the middle.
No, that's the same thing, basically.
You want to deter, because if the flight isn't full, then if there's an opportunity for there to be an empty middle seat, then it's like, maybe don't sit in this one,
But you never know, if you're in.
I always end up, for Southwest especially, I always end up being one of the last ones to board because I never check in on time. And it doesn't matter, I don't care because I never do a carry-on because I can't deal. I'm too short to deal with overhead bins and things like that. So I don't do that. I check all my luggage. And so I'm usually just walking on with my phone and a book in my hand, right? And so I just go and I'll just sit. I don't care. Middle seat, I'll just sit. So I think I'm easy to sit next to on a flight. I don't get up to go to the bathroom ever because I dehydrate myself before a flight. It's all very strategic. It's not good. It's not healthy. Don't do this. Don't try this at home. But that's what I do.
Yeah. Well, nobody on that plane is screaming, "Come on!"
Hopefully not.
No, yeah. Do you sound like an ideal passenger? But our flight was full, and I was like, "You can put the bags there, but it ain't gonna work." Yeah. Right? So
I just want to fly on every plane that Yasmin's flying on.
Yeah, and we.
I am a great plane buddy. Yeah.
And we can all agree on this and end on this. When there is no one in the middle seat, that is a middle seat miracle that unites America.
No, it's great, and it makes you immediately friends with the person on the window because you have that in common. You're both ecstatic.
Yeah, now you guys have a thing.
Exactly.
Instantly you get this look like.
Yeah. We did.
We did it.
Right, you hear the announcement. We've closed the cabin doors. It's like, oh, this is so good.
The middle seat miracle.
Such a victory.
And then you know what I feel like? I feel like I stole a couple $1,000s from the first class folks.
That's true too. Yeah.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.